love the large and ongoing Toy Story universe, you can thank Hans Christian Andersen for pioneering the talking toy genre. Andersen walked so 9,000 Toy Story sequels could run. Hi, I'm Liz. I'm a librarian and a storyteller, and I love old fairy tales. I especially love Hans Christian Andersen. I went to Denmark for my honeymoon, where I fully geeked out and read this amazing biography by Jackie Wolfschlager. I learned so much about him, including the fact that he revolutionized children's fairy tales where toys and other inanimate objects have a life of their own. The Steadfast Tin Soldier is probably his most famous one, as well as The Top and the Ball. Those are both stories I've told before, and I've tagged the videos in the description. But one of his fairy tales that was brought to life a lot in Denmark and doesn't seem to be as popular here is one of his happily ever after romances called The Shepherdess and the Chimney Sweep.
Fucked up fairy tales with Liz.
Ding! When you were a kid, did anyone in your life have one of those giant, dusty, wooden cabinets full of untouchable, breakable dolls? My dad was an antique dealer, so I spent a lot of my childhood in resale stores wondering why I couldn't play with the toys or even sit in the damn chairs. This story is set in a room full of such wonders. And just like Buzz, Woody, and Jessie, those little figurines lived a soap operatic life of their own when the children weren't looking. The most popular toy in this Victorian cabinet of curiosities was a large wooden satyr. You know, one of those feisty, horny guys with goat legs and a lot of testosterone. The children of the house had named him
General Headquarters, Hindquarters, gives orders, front and rear Sergeant Billy Goat Butt.
An unwieldy name to be sure, but cat owners will get it. Just ask my kitties, Wilbur and Bellina, aka Willie and Billy, aka Oreo and Double Stuff, aka Mr. Peanut and Fluffernutter, aka Piss Lord and the Goblin Queen, aka Monsieur Tinytail and Madame Bushybutt, aka Mr. Plop and Crunchwrap Supreme. This little goat guy couldn't take his eyes off a figure perched on a clawfoot table, a beautiful porcelain shepherdess. Her hat and her shoes and her crook were gilded gold, and her dress was bustled with a red rose. She sounds so fancy, I have to wonder if she wasn't actually a shepherdess at all, but one of those, 18th century rich ladies who like to cosplay as country folk.
It's one shepherd's crook, Mikkel. What could it cost? 3,500 krone?
Unfortunately for the satyr, the shepherdess had her eye on a porcelain chimney sweep who leaned on a ladder next to her. The sweep may have had a messy career, but he kept himself as clean and tidy as possible, including his handsome face, which smiled with a perpetual blush.
Good morning, you. Oh, Asher, you clever man. What do you think of assisting me in the art of husbandry?
You want to learn more about wool?
No, I want to marry you, babe. We'd make the perfect pair. We're young and healthy, we're both of good porcelain stock, but most importantly, we stand right next to each other on this tiny table.
Inanimate objects proposing simply because of their close proximity to each other occurs in more than one of Andersen's fairy tales. In The Top and the Ball, the top proposes because he and the ball live in the same trunk. These were fairy tales written by a man who twice proposed to women who were simply in his vicinity, while furiously pleasuring himself to the thought of these same women's brothers all night. Life is complicated. Now, there was a fourth figure in this mix of characters, an old man from China that fancied himself in charge of the place. Andersen, as guilty of indulging in Orientalism as any 19th century man, used a slightly offensive name for this character, but otherwise the toy's ethnicity is important to the plot, as he was modeled after a popular Cantonese import of the time, a porcelain nodding figure, aka a 19th century bobblehead toy. But we'll call him Grandpa, because he got it in his nodding head that he was the shepherdess's patriarch for some reason.
Listen here, young lady. General Headquarters Hindquarters gives orders front and rear Sergeant Billy Goat Butt has asked to marry you, and I agree, it would be a good match.
Ugh, that guy? Let me get a Bo Peep at those titties. Grandfather, if that's who you really are, I cannot agree to be Mrs. General Headquarters Hindquarters gives orders front and rear Sergeant Billy Goat Butt. Don't you know he already has 11 Russian mail-order brides? That is an outdated and offensive term.
Sweetheart, I got enough energy for 11 more little China girls, if you know what I mean.
Ew!
Despite her disgust, Grandpa told the shepherdess that she'd be married to the satyr the next day. Then he nodded off to sleep.
Oh, Asher, I can't possibly marry that horny old goat man and his nesting sister wives. Let's run away together into the wide, wonderful world.
Wherever you go, I follow, babe. Let us rappel down the leg of this tiny toy table.
With no rope?
Don't be silly, I have a ladder.
The Chimney Sweep coached the Shepherdess as they eased their way down the treacherous cliff. Table.
Okay, babe, now don't put your weight on your foot until you're firmly on the lip of each gilded leaf.
We'll never make it.
I've got you, babe. Look, there's the Persian carpet right now.
I can't believe it. The two lovers made it safely to the bottom. Inconceivable!
The satyr's entourage, a bunch of elk figurines, alerted the satyr and Grandpa, but the lovers safely made it into the cushioned window seat before the two creepy guys could even get off the shelf.
Phew, that was close.
Hello? Shh! Can't you see that there's a performance happening?
Truly, that is so rude.
Oops, we're so sorry.
Look, babe, they're playing a romance.
I've loved Vu since the moment I laid eyes on Vu.
Don't be ridiculous, Hoggy. Uncle Toad would never approve of the match.
Darling, I cannot watch this play any longer. It is far too close to home.
I wish I was close to home. Me too. Then we wouldn't be here watching this.
Oh! The lovers snuck out of the window seat, only to see that Grandpa was leaning off of the shelf toward them.
Hurry, babe. Let's go hide in that potpourri vase sitting in the corner of the room.
Don't be a fool, Ash. Grandpa and the potpourri vase are old flames, and she never got over him. I'm giving it my all, but I'm not the herbs you're taking home. Oh, she'd surely tell. We must leave this house entirely and embark into the wide, wonderful world.
Wherever you go, I follow, babe. We'll escape to the roof through the chimney, or I'm no sweep.
The fragile lovers daintily pulled themselves up the chimney brick by brick in the impenetrable dark. Hours passed as mortar threatened to give way beneath them, but at last they pulled themselves up onto the chimney ledge where they rested and took in the stars.
Isn't it beautiful? Oh no. Oh no. What's wrong, babe?
The world. It's too wide. It's too wonderful. We have to go back.
You have got to be kidding me.
I'm entirely serious.
Well, what about your engagement to General Headquarters, Hindquarters, Gives Orders, Front and Rear Sergeant Billy Goat Butt?
If you truly loved me, you would lead me out of this wide, wonderful world and back to our tiny toy table.
I can truly love you and feel like this entire evening was an incredibly risky waste of my fucking time.
So the two precious lovers painstakingly descended back down the chimney in the sooty dark, chipping their tiny fingernails and finding themselves in need of quite a dusting by the end of it. They peeked out from a crack in the stove door to assess their safety.
Sounds all quiet out there. We must be safe to sneak back.
Oh my God! Asher, look!
Grandpa, in his haste to stop his fake granddaughter from escaping, had leaned too far off his shelf and fallen. His broken body lay in 3 large pieces, his head cracked clear off its spring.
Oh, grandfather, you would be alive today if I had been less rash. I will never forgive myself.
Calm down. He isn't even your real grandfather. I'm sure they'll patch him up fine.
The toy owners did patch up the bobblehead, and he was mostly fine, though he could never bobble his head again, which worked out well for the lovers.
Buddy, why won't you give me a solid answer about marrying your sexy granddaughter? I did. I said you could marry her. I just can't nod my head anymore. Is it yes or no? Up and down for yes. Left and right for no. I said yes. Yes. You know what? Fine. I didn't want her anyway. You were right, granddaughter. This guy's an idiot.
So the Shepherdess and the Chimney Sweep were free to stay together until the end of their days, which did occur when they fell off the table and were dashed to pieces. There it is. There's the morbid ending I knew would come through for me, Hans Christian Andersen. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy my storytelling, you would love my book, Fucked Up Fairy Tales, in stores now. If you've been waiting for a more affordable version of the book, now is the perfect time because pre-orders are open for the paperback, which comes out in October. Additionally, if you'd like to hear some more Hans Christian Andersen tales, some more Danish folk tales, get a big tour of my trip to Copenhagen, I'll pop over to my Patreon. It's a small way to support my work here, including some future projects that I will share more information about as soon as possible.
But the fairy tales with Liz.
Ding!